Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in part 3 of our entertainment show each week, we premiere a new movie or TV series that's debuting here in Ireland and the UK for this upcoming month, and especially here in Ireland where Irish eyes are smiling. It's July now, and the movie we're going to premiere in terms of previewing this evening is a special type of, dare I say it, it's like when Jaws meets Con Air. In terms of Assault on Precinct 13. Throw all the 3 movies into one and you get this movie in a nutshell. It's called The Flood. It deals with a storm, Gustavo, and all its misgivings in terms of the state of Louisiana. Pits, dare I say, the police in their sort of abandoned, dare I say, police station, a bus of criminals that need shelter for the night. They're all thrown into the mix, and then you throw in 6 foot, 8 foot alligators and crocodiles into the mix, and you got a brainstorming idea for a sort of slasher type horror movie. It features an all-star cast: Nicky Whelan, Casper Van Dien, Randy Wayne, Ryan Francis, Mike Ferguson, Randall J. Bacon, and our special guest this evening, the one and only Kim DeLonghi, who plays the character Eva Carter. And that sort of opening premise, I used the line, Kim, I said, Con Air meets Jaws meets Assault on Precinct 13. I don't think I'm too far off in terms of that sort of a mashup in terms of what we get with The Flood.
Absolutely. If you can imagine like being stuck in this prison with these jail cells, and these guys are stuck in the cells. And so we go in there sort of trying to blast them out, and the water's just rising, and all of a sudden there's throwing some crocodiles into the mix. Like, it's crazy. It was really quite insane to film.
And tell me, the filming experience itself, I do believe it was filmed in Bangkok, Thailand. So how did that start to come about? Was all the filming done out in terms of Thailand? And where did you start to shoot in terms of Bangkok? Because I know there are some really sort of terrific sort of locations. Did you go out in towards outside the city limits? Did you go out to the countryside area of Bangkok?
We didn't, only because the set needed to be built. So they built like this concrete room with wooden, and then they had to be able to fill it with water. And so we stayed right in Bangkok. This is the second movie I've made now with Damon Hillen Entertainment. I did a shark movie in Hawaii with them. And
Sharknado by any chance?
No, it's called The Man-Eater.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of the same. So Nikki's in it, and Randy's in it. And so we sort of knew each other from Hawaii. Damon does most of his productions in Bangkok, or in Thailand rather. So this one was just in Bangkok because they had to build the set. And so, yeah, we didn't get to venture out around much of Thailand.
Okay. And in terms of building that sort of set, what type of an operation was it? Was it a massive giant apparatus in terms of putting it together? Was it sort of mind-blowing in terms of what they had to do to get this in shape in terms of trying to filming these scenes for the movie?
Well, I don't know the background because, I'm an executive producer, but I'm mostly an actor. And so, I mean, from what I heard, it was a big ordeal. And also because of the heat there, like we would start working like maybe 9-10 o'clock at night because, we're dealing with the water, but the water would get soupy and hot, and we were just always sweating there. So I can imagine it was a big ordeal. Like one of the scenes is when all the convicts walk outside of the bus, and they had this massive hose sprayer on them because it's pouring, right? It's the flood, so it's flooding there. So there was that, and then there was the big, they had to build the prison. So I can imagine there's a lot behind the scenes, but when I arrive, it's just like all done.
And Eva, in terms of, you mentioned on a previous sort of shark movie. So were you sought out for this role of Eva Carter? Were you did they come to you and said they had a particular character in mind, or was there something that your talent agent got wind of in terms of, look, there might be an opportunity coming about, or were you sort of approached for this role?
Yeah, so Damon Helen and I, we met through another director. I did this other movie with DMX and Steven Segal.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
Exit
he
wounds,
introduced.
was it? No?
Say it again?
Exit wounds?
No, it was called, oh geez, what was it? Just looking here on my IMDb. Gee, I can't find it right now.
Yeah.
But it was his last movie that he made.
Okay. DMX's
Yeah,
last movie. Okay, or
yeah.
something's last movie. Okay.
So anyways, oh, Beyond the Law.
Okay.
Beyond the Law. Yeah, so then this director introduced me to Damon Helen, and who I did the Man Eater. And you know, when you're with someone for a month, it's really important that you all get along with each other. So like I said, with some of the other actors from this movie, and so Damon's like, "Hey Kim, like I'm making another movie." It was so funny when I was in the Man Eater, we're traveling to set to Hawaii. We're going to the ocean to do one of the scenes. And one of the girls says to me, not like, "How'd you get here?" But she says, "Who do you know?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
actually, I know him." And so at this point, you're just sort of pulling your friends, and you know, we've all become close. We've done 2 movies together and spending a lot of time in different countries. And so, yeah, Damon just reached out and said, "Do you want to do this one?" So I'm like, "Sure." And he just recently reached out and was offering me another one too, in an Anthony Hopkins movie back in Thailand.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
yeah.
Thailand's going to be a hot spot for the career of Kim DeLonghi, anyway, in terms of might have to buy a second home. You talked about a cottage there up in Canada before we came on. You might have to buy some property out in Thailand fairly soon as well, the way things are going.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like to see the swimming pigs. David went on about that, but I didn't have any time to venture out. There's supposed to be some beautiful islands there.
Okay. And Kim, in terms of the flood, in terms of your character, Eva character, what can you tell us about her? Is she on the good side of the law? Is she on the bad side of the law? Where does she sort of fit in with all the factions and all this sort of the madness that's going on, the chaos there, say?
Yeah, she's definitely on the bad side of the law. Like her backstory, she's had a horrible upbringing. She was part of the militia. And so then she's joined these gangsters who, you know, one of them is my boyfriend. So in one part of the scene, when I meet Nikki, I say to her, like, you know, "You kind of look like me," and how different how her upbringing was to my upbringing, and how I could have been like her, like she's the sheriff. So looking at us, it looks like there's not much difference, but because of our upbringing, we're two completely different people.
Okay.
So definitely on the bad side of the tracks.
The bad side of the fence, bad side of the road. And
Yeah.
Kim, in terms of, I know you've worked with an awful lot of established actors throughout the years, but was this your first movie working together with Casper Van Dien? Obviously, Casper is known from his time in Star Troopers with Denise Richards in the past. This is the first time yourself and Casper cross paths on a movie set, or have you worked together in the past?
It was my first time, and it was so great to sit back and watch him and Lewis work together. Like they just, you know, the scene would end and they would hash it out and decide what they're going to do differently. And like watching them work together was really amazing. So it was quite inspiring to see where I could be, you know, in some time in the future, like helping the director direct the scenes, and they were really great together.
And obviously, I mentioned this sort of the criminal element and the sort of, dare I say, the chain gang, the sort of the band of criminals bonding together in adverse sort of circumstances. And obviously, there's some, when we talk about criminals, they all have to have their each different personalities, their each characters. They're very important. So, like some Mike Ferguson, Randall J. Bacon, obviously, they play very much the important roles in this movie, just as much as what Nicky Whelan and Casper Van Dien and Randy Wayne play. They're much pivotal in terms of bringing these so-called lesser characters to life and bringing much depth to them, dare I say.
Absolutely. You can see it in their eyes in one of the scenes when they're traveling in the bus, and they just look all so evil, and they really do a really good job at being, playing the bad guys. And Mike, though, like, the first time I met him, he's just all tatted up, but he's such a nice guy. Like, all these guys are so nice. And Bear is, his real name is Bear. I'm not sure of his character's name, but the guy is, he's the biggest guy. And because I think they make connotations to that in the movie, and just the sweetest man. Like, so it's so funny how you definitely can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. And tell me about the alligators, the crocodile. Did you green screen some elements in that in terms of Thailand, in terms of how do you sort of inflatable type rubber type characters, in terms of how did you sort of shoot those water scenes with the crocodiles, the alligators? Was it imagination, C3 effects, or was there actually some rubber type devices in the water with you in terms of that were obviously enhanced in through CGI?
Yeah, unfortunately, there was no real alligators, but not real ones, but it would have been nice to have blow up. But so, yeah, it was all imagination. But the rigging up of the death scenes was amazing. Like, I was pretty much on this like bungee jump, like a big diaper thing.
Yeah.
And so, the water's up to my waist. And apparently when crocodiles eat you, they flip you around. And so we're in this waist high water, and, we're imagining that the crocodiles are coming down. So, because we were in the basement at that point. And so these rigs are just like flipping us in the water, flipping us in the water. And so it was really quite scary. I can't even imagine get eaten by a crocodile, because it would just be so terrifying of the way you die.
Yeah. And in terms of the cast and obviously the crew, in terms of shooting the flood, obviously, did you shoot this during the pandemic or was it post-pandemic?
I'm not sure when your pandemic ended, but for me, it was, it was pandemic. That's right, because we all had to wear masks, and so yeah, it was during the pandemic. Yeah, so there wasn't. I think the only thing was you just had to wear a mask coming on set. It was hard to social distance, so anytime you weren't acting, you had to wear a mask. And then the food was, we all ate together, and we followed all the protocols, had to get tested, and I'm so glad that's over.
Yeah, true. Kim, I was just sort of wondering, the reason why I brought up that in terms of a screening, did you have any sort of cast screening then in terms of getting to see the movie privately first as a cast, or did that come later, or have you, since from the minute you finished up wrapping shooting that movie, have you come together as a cast since? Has there been any premiere in terms of being able to see the movie, the final production of it before it hits the cinema screens?
I did have the opportunity to see it, but no, there hasn't been a premiere, unfortunately. But the producer did send it to me, but I'm really anxious to see it on the big screen.
You're really anxious to see. And are you sort of a fan of these type of horror type, animal type, gore, predator type movies, the likes of Anaconda, Jaws, growing up? Were you a big fan of those type of horror extreme movies, and was there something that you always said that would be exciting to play in terms of movies that have tarantulas, snakes, anacondas? Does that excite you as an actor, to sort of make-believe fear situation that you would never like to experience in real life, but to come across it in, let's say, make-believe? Is that exciting as an actress?
Oh my gosh, I will never forget Jaws. I mean, I feel like I saw that movie too young of an age. Like, I had trouble being in a bathtub. So absolutely, you have to do something every day that scares you. And that was definitely one thing. And in becoming an actress, playing those roles of like G.I. Jane, or like the Angelina Jolie one, can't think of the name of the movie right now, but that was definitely a dream of mine. So like pinch me, I feel like I'm living my best life and living my dream. So yeah, I'm really fortunate to have met Damon and given me these opportunities.
And Kim, in terms of the flood, obviously coming our way in July the 14th, an all-star cast, a real sort of slasher type, gore, horror, action all rolled into one. But it's a busy time for you. And before we came on air, you mentioned about a few other projects you're in the pipeline in terms of movies, in terms of TV series that might be coming our way later in 2023 here in Ireland and the UK, and whatever debuts on UK TV, debuts on Ireland TV. And so what's the story for Kim DeLonghi? Are we going to see an awful lot of her on our TV screens and our movie screens for the remainder of 2023?
Absolutely. I feel like my career is just starting to jet off. I probably did 9 during COVID. But specifically in Ireland, I did The Last Girl with Antonio Banderas and Alice Eve. Is Alice Eve from Ireland or no? Or London, England?
I think it's England. Something's telling
Oh,
me at the
England.
back
Oh,
of my
okay.
head it's England. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, and shooting a movie with Antonio Banderas in Ireland, anyway. So that grabs my attention in terms of, tell me, how did that come about for you, to the opportunity to get to shoot in Ireland? Was it during COVID as well? And
In COVID, yeah. And again, I'd worked with this director before. I did another movie in New York with Jamie King. Oh, and Antonio Banderas. There was another Antonio Banderas. I'm in the opening scene. It's called The Banshee.
okay,
And so,
yeah,
yeah. And
I
so
remember that.
that director, he asked me to be a part of this other one, and absolutely fell in love with Ireland. It was shot out in Dunleary, stayed in a beautiful castle. So work was really close. People were so friendly, and it was really loved Ireland, and all
Okay.
the architecture, it was just so different. So yeah, that should be coming out shortly.
Okay, and in terms of that premise, in terms of that movie, without giving too much away, in terms of that, what's your sort of role within that movie?
I'm playing a detective, and it's a thriller. That's all I'll tell you.
Okay, you're playing a detective in a thriller, and
Yeah.
any other projects that you might want to give a bit of attention to as well?
Yeah, so I was recently in I just did this movie with Tim Roth and Aaron Eckhart. It's
Okay,
called Classified. I'm playing also a detective in that one. That was in Malta, which I absolutely love too. That's the one great thing about my job, is I get to travel all these different countries and I get to experience it. I always try to stay for another couple of days. So Malta was beautiful. I was in Santa Fe. It's called The Dead Man's Hand. That's
okay,
with goodness, all these different actors. Let me just look this up. The Dead Man's Hand is with Stephen Lang
okay,
and the guy from Yellowstone. Sorry, Stephen Dorff and Cole Hauser and Forrest
okay,
Smith and Jack Kilmer, Val Kilmer's son. So that's going
okay,
to be an exciting one. I saw a trailer and that's just come out. That looks like a lot of fun. I'm playing this villainous, it's a Western, and
okay.
I'm playing like the madam of the house, and I'm very evil. Very evil. I don't know how to get all these evil characters. I'm so not evil.
So obviously, Kim, COVID was really good to you. You got to travel all the world. You got to experience a good few sort of movies, and things are beginning to take off big time in the career of Kim DeLonghi. But Kim, before we let you go, you might enlighten all our audience, all our listeners, why they should go to the cinemas en masse on July the 14th, whether it be train, plane, automobile, whatever mode of transport. Get to the cinema screens, have the popcorn, their Pepsi, Maltesers, put the feet back, and watch the flood, and what's in store for them.
Well, the acting, everyone did a really good job, and you could tell we're all very cohesive. And what I liked about it in seeing the movie is you don't really know what's going to happen. And it's unexpected. So seeing the alligators, like you said, it's those iconic movies, where it's scary, you're getting the thrill out of things, and in watching some good actors do a good job of their acting, and you'll enjoy it, I promise.
Is it a sort of, before I let you go, is it a sort of a guessing game of who dies next in terms of turns and twists? Is it not predictable in terms of being able to guess who the next victim is?
It's not. That's why they've woven a good story. It's a good tale. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
very,
not as
very good.
predictable as you think.
Okay, interesting. I might have to, no doubt I'll have the first take in that before it hits the cinema screens here in Ireland. But for the moment, Kim DeLonghi, for me, Jim Conlan, absolute pleasure talking to you on the airwaves this evening. Tomorrow, The Flood, out in July the 14th, starring Nicky Whelan, Casper Van Dien, Randy Wayne, Ryan Francis, Mike Ferguson, Randall J. Bacon, our special guest this evening, playing the role of Eva Carter, Kim DeLonghi. As we said, The Flood, it's a mixture of Con Air, meets Jaws, meets Assault on Precinct 13, all mashed together in this action/thriller. Busy time for Kim. Lots of projects coming our way in the near future and coming to our screens here in Ireland. And no doubt sometime in the future we'll get her back on the air to speak about some of those projects again. But for the moment, for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Kim DeLonghi, stay safe, take care, God bless.
God bless you. Bye.